If you are not utilizing your camera's custom buttons, you truly are missing out. Custom buttons are a great way to speed up your workflow, make things easier for you in the field, so you need to spend less time in your menu and more time being creative and capturing the shot, which makes a huge difference. My name is Austin James Jackson. Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're talking all about custom buttons. Now, this video has been a long time coming. I've been thinking about making this thing for a while, and today I'm out in the backcountry of southern Utah. You can see maybe I'm a little bit dirty, but it's beautiful out here and it's a great time to just sit down this afternoon and talk a little bit about custom buttons, which is something I'm so passionate about. I talk to clients on my workshops all the time. I help people set up custom buttons. These are gonna be the custom buttons that I use for I have a Sony A7R IV. If you're shooting another Sony or even a Canon, Nikon, Fuji, anything like that, you can set your dials very similar. You know, most of these cameras have very similar buttons on the back, so you can kind of just plug and play regardless of which brand you have. But the camera that we're gonna be looking at today is the Sony A7R IV. Now, as I mentioned before, one of the best things about setting those custom buttons is that I can spend less time fiddling with my camera, more time capturing images in the field. And like anything else, it takes time to get used to the custom buttons. So I'd recommend, if you don't have a custom button setup, follow my guide exactly, set up your camera like this, and then just go out there and shoot and see how it feels. It'll take time to get used to, but I'm at the point in the field where I've used this setup so many times that I can literally just not even think about what buttons I'm pushing to get to the settings that I want because I've used it so much, but it does take time. So let's jump right in there. We'll first go to the custom button menu, which is going to be found under custom key, custom button. Depending on what kind of camera you're using, this may be in a different spot, so keep that in mind. Now on my camera, the first thing that comes up is the rear controls. I've got 5 different options here. Now these options allow me to change things like the scroll wheel and then each of the custom buttons on the back, the AEL button, the AF on button, and then C3. As well as C4 or the garbage can. These are all buttons that are really important. Now, I personally like to have my ISO on the scrolling wheel, which is really nice because it's super easy to just adjust while you're in the field. Just simply scroll the wheel around while you're shooting. You don't have to push a button to open it. A lot of people will choose though to put the ISO on one of the left or right buttons. You know, on my camera, you can see it says ISO on that right side dial. So if you want to just click that and leave it as it shows on the back of your camera, you can do that too, but I like it on the scrolling wheel. Now, number 2 on that AEL button, I don't use the auto exposure lock. So I've actually replaced that with subject detection. I mostly shoot landscapes. Sometimes I take photos of people that are out there with me, and other times, you know, I might be taking photos of wildlife. So I just put that subject detection. I don't use that very often, but that allows me to switch between selecting people versus selecting animals. Super small, simple change, but so it's not a button I use a lot, but it's something that I like to have accessible. Number 3, I leave as the autofocus on. If you want to set up back button focus, this is how you would do it. I'm personally not a fan of back button focus. I could spend a whole video talking about that, but we're not going to talk about that today. But I just leave that as AF on. Number 4 is a big one that isn't set on your camera by default to a custom button. I think it's really important, and that is the monitor brightness. Now, the monitor brightness controls how bright your monitor is, which is really helpful because if I'm out in bright, sunny conditions, I want that monitor to be as bright as possible. If I'm out there shooting in the dark, I want it to be as dark as possible. I've had it before. I leave my brightness in what's called sunny weather, I believe. And if I'm shooting photos at night, the problem is that sunny weather, you're like, wow, this image is perfectly exposed. You get home and you're like, well, it's so underexposed. And the reason is because it was so dark outside, you're looking at it on such a bright screen. So you always want to turn that down. Even when I'm out here, like today, I'm out in the canyons. Sometimes I will turn it down out here as well because oftentimes it can be pretty dark inside the canyons. Now, number 5 is a Sony or Nikon specific setting. On Sony, it's called bright monitoring. On Nikon, it's called starlight view. This is great for night photos or any photos where it's really dark outside, you know, late into the blue hour, because it allows you to kind of see what you're looking at. It makes it a little bit brighter. It artificially kind of brightens the image on the viewfinder. I've got other short videos on this that I'll link that you can check out if you want to know kind of how that setting works, but I'd recommend setting that button. Now let's move on. We'll go to rear 2 is what it's called in my menu. This controls things like I've got this little joystick on my camera, and then I've got on the scrolling wheel, you can push left, up, right, or down and make adjustments there. Now under number 1, I've got it set to focus standard. This is the joystick here. When I press the center button, it just brings the focus point back to the center of the image, which is perfect because I do use flexible spot focus quite a lot. Number 2, I have set to the focus magnifier. That is what happens when you press the center button. That magnifies and allows you to zoom in on your image, which is really nice if you're using manual focus, and my lens will usually automatically do that, but some like unsupported manual focus lenses, I'll have to use that focus magnifier. It can also help me if I'm just like sitting looking at my camera on a tripod and I want to look at something far away. I press that center button and it just zooms you in. It's like 6.9 times or 12.1 or something like that. The third option here, which is pushing left on the side of the pad there, that gives me drive mode. So this gives me things like 2-second timer, you know, burst mode, single shooting, bracketing, all that good stuff. Definitely something you want to have on there, and I believe that is set there by default. You can see on my camera I have the 2-second timer little logo there, and then the burst mode shooting logo there as well. Now at number 4, I've got focus area. This was ISO when I got the camera. I changed it to focus area. This allows me to switch between things like you know, flexible spot, autofocus, wide autofocus, wherever you want to put your focus point, this is where you're going to do it, is right there. Now at number 5, I've got focus mode so that I can change it between, you know, autofocus continuous if I'm shooting a moving subject, autofocus single shot if I'm shooting something static, manual focus for night photos, whatever it may be, I can change it right there. So I've got that as well on rear too. Now third menu here allows you to control the top buttons, these 2 buttons here. Basically what that's going to do, I have both of them preset to different things than what they started as. So I use this C2 to allow me to switch between finder and monitor. A lot of these cameras, on these mirrorless cameras, they allow you to look through the viewfinder and it automatically switches. That was really frustrating for me because I was having problems where it would switch when I didn't want it to. So I just have it set to that C2 button, which is nice because when I'm holding my camera, you know, I have my finger on the trigger right here to fire off the image, and then I can simply just move my finger to that C2 button just like that and switch it back and forth if I want to go between looking at the screen versus looking through the viewfinder. Now the other option that I have here is for interval shooting, which is C1 if you want to shoot time lapse. If you want to, you know, sometimes if I'm out there shooting a sunset and I want to capture video content like this, I'll set my camera up, set the interval, and just let it go so that I can shoot other stuff while the photos are taking itself. So interval shooting is a nice thing to have as well if you're an outdoor photographer. Now lastly, your last option is for the lens. Some lenses, like this one that I'm using right now, doesn't have a button on the outside. The one that I'm filming this video on does, but I have that set to steady shot. So if I wanted to turn off the steady shot, which technically you're supposed to, I haven't found that there's really a big difference whether you turn it off or not. A lot of people say there is. I think it might depend on the lens, but you can set that to the lens as well. So you can just tap that button on the side and then it opens up the steady shot that you can now turn off. So just like that, it's pretty simple. Those are the custom buttons that I have set up. I use each and every one from time to time. If you're not using all of your custom buttons, I highly recommend changing them. And just because this is the right setup for me doesn't necessarily mean it will be the right setup for you. So you may need to find the buttons that work best for you, but I highly recommend exploring that. If you find yourself having to go into the menu, the function menu, or the actual menu of your camera all the time to find anything in particular, set that to one of your custom buttons, maybe one of the ones that I have set that maybe you're not going to use, because that'll help you to increase your efficiency in the field, which ultimately leads to you being able to be more creative. If you guys have any questions or any recommendations for custom buttons that I should try out on my camera, let me know down below in the comments. Love to hear from you guys. If you do copy this custom button setup, give me a comment. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know if you like it. Always love hearing from you guys. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you want to improve your photography. Every week I'm releasing videos to help you get better at photography. Every other day I'm releasing little short videos, less than a minute, that are just really quick hitting videos that will allow you to also get better at photography. Again, my name is Austin James Jackson. As always, I greatly appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much. We'll see you guys next time.